What's up, everybody? Welcome to the House of Mario, the South Australian Nintendo podcast that is backed by 120 Power Star rating. I'm your host, Drew Agnew, and the doors to episode 147 are open. This week on the show, we're talking about Min Min coming to Super Smash Bros. And a very exciting shareholders meeting Nintendo had the other day. Absolutely thrilling time. Can't wait to talk about it. And to discuss all that is my best mate, the delightful Bryce DeWitt. Bryce, how you going, mate?
G'day, my friend.
Yeah, so you're actually coming in remotely to the House of Mario this week.
Yeah, I've not had a lot of sleep, so I'm kind of injecting myself with coffee.
Yeah. Yes, we've all been there before. I don't like coffee, so usually for me it's like, all right, I'm going to get an energy drink. But they're not good for you, so I try to avoid that whenever possible. Yeah,
no, we're both shifting over to G Fuel soon to try and get something a bit different.
We've both been influenced by separate entities on the internet, which is kind of funny.
I mean, we have, but I mean, hopefully it's a better option than, just slamming down those energy drinks, which, we're both guilty of.
Yeah, definitely. Like back in high school, I used to slam them down pretty regularly, especially in year 12, coming up to exams and that. I was kind of living on them. And they didn't really affect me too much. I could go to bed at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock whenever I sort of wanted to. But if I have them now, I'll be up to like 3 o'clock in the morning. They're just, they affect me really bad now.
Yeah, they hit your bodily function a whole kind of different when
they do.
Past your prime. It's really strange.
Yeah, I hope I'm not past my prime at 26, surely.
Well, no, but I would like to call prime late teens. Like that's when you're the most active, more than likely, and stuff like that.
Looking back at me at 18, man, I hope that wasn't my prime. Hopefully that's still coming. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I was doing a shit ton of sport, related stuff back then. More active in physical activity, and I was thinner back then, so
thin as a whip. You doing backflips and just really enjoying life, or
doing backflips. That's what I like to do. Yeah.
I've known you for a while. You were never doing backflips.
No. I was playing a good game of badminton.
Yeah, you were. You're good at badminton. You absolutely smashed that shuttlecock into the ground.
Oh yeah,
you're good at that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I tried going for the trick shots. I didn't have quite the smashing arm you did. So, I tried to be a bit sneaky, but it didn't really work most of the time. I actually love badminton. I miss badminton. I reckon we should try and get back into it. I don't know where or how, but...
Yeah, I think the only place nowadays is Mount Gambier, which is really unfortunate because the local club went down. Yeah,
I'm not going all the way to Mount Gambier for badminton. That's a 30-minute drive, 50 Ks roughly,
Yeah, and then you have to drive back. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah, maybe they'll make a Mario badminton instead of another Mario tennis, and we can sort of take it up there. Maybe that's what we can do. We can relive those days.
And then we'll go buy Oculus Rifts and find a badminton game.
Oh my god! Yeah, I mean, you really need the feedback though for like those racket games. I know Wii Sports, it gets away with it. You got no legs and you've got little ball hands, but really capturing that impact of the shuttlecock is pretty important, I feel like.
Yeah, well, definitely. That was the whole technique, is you had to have a good swing in your wrist, but also at the same time a good swing in your arm. So you would have to bring your arm down and then also flick your wrist back downwards. You'd have to keep your wrist back while you were swinging your arm, and then flick it downwards as you were making the overpass, and that's how you got a good hit.
Yeah. Yeah, this is actually taking me back a bit. I remember Red Rooster was in town at the time, and we'll usually go and get like a large combo at Red Rooster, but go to badminton just like full of shit.
Yeah. We'd still pull it off though. Man. I don't think I'd be able to do that these days. I'd have to eat after badminton. No way.
I'm really thinking about year 10 at school now. So like energy drinks, Red Rooster, badminton, and Smash Bros. Brawl was pretty much what kept me going through school.
And you pour 3 Brawl discs.
Oh yeah, 3. Yeah, literally. Yeah, yeah. That's all the GameCube controller's fault, by the way. If I just was like a pleb and using like the Virtual Console controller, I probably would have been okay. But all 3 times, the first time was completely my fault. I liked the look of the Wii standing up, so I had the Wii standing up with a wide controller in it. I gave it a bit of a yank and it fell over. That was dumb. It left a really bad imprint in the disc, so it couldn't be fixed or whatever. And the second time it got replaced, we had a tournament at school, and someone actually ran through the wire and just pulled the Wii off of the table.
And you lost your SD card.
And I lost my SD card. It bounced out somewhere. It absolutely ruined the disc. And Jesus. But, yeah. Because those, like, obviously, no matter what console or what disc that was, it's not going to live it. But especially those Brawl discs, being the double-laid DVDs, just they scratch so easy.
Oh, yeah, big time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
good game, man.
At least I still got a copy, because I remember I bought like one of the last copies before they sort of like got rid of all Wii games. And like it was, I forgot how much it was the last time I bought it. It was like still like $40 to $50. Like that game just never dropped in price.
I actually think my copy of Brawl's still on my Wii.
Oh, is it?
I think so. Yeah, I still remember that time that it was like, oh yeah, I'll plug in the Wii because I was gonna letter bomb it so I could get some virtual console games on it, since you can't do that anymore. And I wanted to set it up at Mum's for Evie and the grandparents and whatever. So, and then I remember I was like, oh, Brawl's still in it. And then I took that video of me like selecting it and then turning the camera back around on me as it made the fucking.
Yeah, that sound was always just like, someone might have been watching a movie on the TV and it's a bit quiet, so I turn it up. Then we come along to play Smash Bros. And just it's like, holy shit! Just like it wakes you up. It just gets you in the mood, doesn't it? Just gets the heart racing. Like, holy shit! It's time to go.
Oh, Brawl was beautiful.
It was, yeah. And like at the time, we couldn't believe that there was so many complaints about it. But looking back on it, it's like, yeah, fair enough. But that game was so much fun. We absolutely loved that game.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, warts and all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it had warts. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, your grandma probably has warts, but you still love it.
They got a bit pussy at times, kind of.
Jesus. So Bryce, you've been playing some Ninjala over the last week, and I haven't touched it at all, and I'm pretty keen to hear what you have to say about it. So, hit us.
Yeah. Well, I don't think either of us touched the open betas.
No.
Like that all. So I decided to give it a crack because it came out, and I'm like, well, we should probably talk this on the podcast. I said to you, I'm like, yeah, get a match in or two, so you've got your thoughts, but you didn't do that because you were busy with something we'll talk about in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And I played a couple matches, and it was okay. It kind of like embodies that Splatoon vibe, but free to play.
Yeah. Yep.
I really like the concept of it, but it does have a serious problem in spaghetti code, I think, and it's really holding the game back, like something shocking.
Okay, so that's I heard from the beta that it was just so hard to get on. A lot of people just downloaded it and just got error codes straight away. So does it still have some of those problems where you just weren't able to get in fast enough or at all?
Oh, no. By spaghetti code, I suppose what I mean is that when you actually got into a match and you were playing the game, like you couldn't find a match that was just responsive.
Right. So yeah, fair bit of lag and stuff, or
you would jump onto people, you would smack the buttons and all that shit, and you'd feel like you're doing something, but you're really doing jack shit. And like,
right,
and then there were times where the lag was like, God, this is clunky, and because of the way the game's net coded, which you can very clearly tell, it doesn't do anything unless the server registers it. So it can make the gameplay feel really blocky. I feel like it'd be really good in LAN where like none of those issues exist, but online I feel it's just really messy. It's fun and I really like the concept, but to be honest, I really think that they could have set it back a while, maybe done some more work to it and not made it feel so reliant on connection. It's like playing, Smash Online or something with two people who are, behind three walls of a router.
Right.
and then
That's no fun.
no, and trying to play Smash like that on Switch, that's fucking terrible and it's annoying, and like that's exactly what it feels like, and you kind of just like, when you look at games like Splatoon, which is essentially the same thing, it's small arena battle type game, you do your thing. You would think that because Splatoon exists and it pulls it off pretty well from most people's testaments, that this would be okay too, but it actually suffers a lot of problems and it's really unfortunate.
So did you get any sort of enjoyment out of it, or?
For sure. Like it is fun, and like the different weapon varieties and the abilities that come with them and stuff like that. It's definitely fun, but because of that netcode, it's something that if you play a lot of online games, and especially games that are small arena based type of deals, even if it's just like, what can I compare it to? Chivalry, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Something along the lines of that, where it's just like a bunch of people running around with swords and axes, like hacking at each other. Like it feels better if it's more client based reliant than it is, taking the data sent to the server ticks, because that just kind of like, I get it that it makes it a little bit more accurate as to what damage and stuff is actually going out to people.
Yeah.
But by response, it also makes it very, very clunky to play. And I feel like they made this based on the probably the prospect that most people will get into a server that's, within their region. They will be playing against people that are within their region and therefore won't have lag problems. But from what I could see, the few hours that I played, the real issue is that that's not the case, and you'll often find yourself, stranded in another server where the lag issues are consistent. Or you'll get connected to a couple of players who just, their connection's obviously fucking terrible, and you're trying to fight them and it doesn't work, and it's just a little bit messy overall. Like I love it, I love the concept, but if they don't fix that, then that to me sort of just says this is unplayable.
Yeah, that's a shame. Hopefully it can be fixed over time. But what I am curious about, I've actually forgotten because it's been a while since that was shown at the Direct. What are the sort of game modes and what is the game? Because to be honest, I've forgotten since it was shown a fair while ago.
Well, when I was playing, it was only a free-for-all.
Yeah, so just the one game mode type of thing?
Yeah, from what I can tell.
Yep.
At least at the time I played it, which was launch day. And it was just a free-for-all brawl, and yeah, I had some fun with it, but yeah, I guess it's just sort of disappointing that it relies on the netcode so heavily, but the netcode is like spaghetti, and that's kind of infuriating. The monetization's pretty much what you expect for any free games these days. It has a shop, and then it has a gacha, and then it has a battle pass, and you can, just surf the battle passes for rewards if you want, and
yeah,
that's not overall a bad thing. I feel like, if you put a game out there for free, it's perfectly fine to have those things in it for monetization reasons. But I'm a bit worried that it won't survive because they won't address these issues quick enough.
Yeah, just from what I'm hearing around the place, it sounds like a lot of people do have those issues with it, and especially the people jumping in there early and just never touching it again because of those reasons. That could be a pretty big nail in the coffin for this game. So hopefully they do come out and do grab people again with updates, and I'm yet to play it, so I'll give it a go, and hopefully those problems are gone, because yeah, if people don't get in there and get those battle passes and get those microtransactions or whatever, the game's going to die so quickly. So
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, they need that money to do content updates and stuff, but God knows whether it's going to come to other platforms as well.
Yeah.
If it does come to other platforms, like, you might see a bit more of a care towards it.
Yeah.
But because it's sort of stranded on Switch at the moment.
Yeah, it's going to be real hard for just a free-to-play game exclusively on Switch. That's going to be a really tough sell. Look, they're going to have to get a pretty decent audience exclusive to Nintendo to actually make it work for them. So
Yeah, absolutely.
which is why you don't see a lot doing it. So it's a pretty big risk. They're probably, I'd assume, maybe they're really banking on the Splatoon audience. Be like, all right, this looks like Splatoon. It's like, you know, I guess it's not really similar at all, but I guess, you know, it's team based at least. So you're doing that. So maybe they're thinking, oh, there's no content in Splatoon at the moment, so let's jump into Ninjala.
It has perfectly like similar prospects to Splatoon. You know, different weapons have different abilities, and then you just get into a brawl or whatever it may be. But instead of about painting the board, it's about killing as many as you can and killing some of those bots and stuff like that. And like, it's fine. The concept is very much like Splatoon in that prospect, I guess, is it's quick skirmishes against people that, you know, you want to jump in and play. But as an online only game, and Splatoon very much faces the same issues at times, but on a lesser extent because it's, you know, a fully fledged game from Nintendo that people latched onto.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of have to, if it's going to be online only for the most part, you really have to put the hard yards in, because I mean that was the main draw to Splatoon, was that it was primarily online. The single player was very much a side piece, and if the online wasn't good, then the game wouldn't sell. And yeah, this is free to play, but nobody's going to play a broken free to play game. You're on if you're looking for something like Splatoon, this is like Splatoon. But if you're looking for something like Splatoon, you more than likely already own Splatoon 2. So, you know, you're probably just better off going back to Splatoon 2.
Yeah, the community's still there, going strong with the game. So there's no point necessarily if you're just looking for something just like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I guess for me, I haven't really been playing my Switch at all. I've been pretty busy with work and that. So I've been putting my time into The Last of Us Part 2, which is obviously not a Nintendo Switch game, but I guess I'm really enjoying the game. And to start off with, I was actually kind of dreading jumping into it, but I found myself really, really enjoying the gameplay and all that. And I think that's one of the biggest compliments I can give the game, that I was really actually dreading it just for how dire the story is just about, mainly being about hate. That was the main theme of it. And I'm like, I really don't need this type of game right now, with like, you know, coming home after work and just diving into a game just about hating stuff and killing people.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I don't know. But there's playing through the game, there's a lot of just beautiful things in it, and just actually like doing the combat and the loop, that, like, you know, you're going around gathering materials to get ammo to do up your guns and that, and the actual stealth mechanics and everything is just, they're so much fun. And I've never really enjoyed a stealth game before, and I can see myself like going back through this to actually get the trophies and everything. I'm really enjoying it, and apart from the story too, which is really good. But that's all I'll say on it, because we're not on a PlayStation podcast. But yeah,
okay. But I mean, I'm going to ask questions anyway.
Yeah, you go for it.
The general criticisms of the game, do you think they're warranted?
Well, the thing is, a lot of the criticisms are about aspects of the story, and I haven't finished the game yet. I'm only at 11 hours or so I'm probably like a little bit less than halfway. So I don't know yet. I know one of them, and to be honest, no, not for that one, but I haven't finished the game yet, so I don't know.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so I can't answer you on that one. But just talking about just story in general, I'm not going to talk about the story at all, but I am a little bit disappointed in some podcasts I was listening to. I listened to one really, really big one that I usually listen to, and they talked about the game for about an hour or so in a spoiler-free review discussion, and they talked about it really, really well, and with no spoilers whatsoever. I came out of it. But a few other ones I listened to, they said, oh, no spoilers, but basically this is what happens here, and this is how the ending sort of plays out. I'm like, that is not spoiler free. So that really annoyed me. I'm not going to put any names out there, but yeah, that's be careful if you are looking to play this game.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what people wanted it for, was a follow-up to the original story. All I really know about the game is that it's its story is far too derivative from why the first one was famous in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think that annoys a lot of people, and I can understand that because
So far for me, it's not like that. But yeah, like I said, I'm only like halfway. So
because I'll be honest, like I haven't finished the first one, as you know, a fair few people would know, but I did. I'm not saying I didn't play it because I definitely played some of it. I played about 5 hours of it, but the gameplay really was just lost on me. It was just another stealth zombie militia game that like was huge during that era, a la Dead Island and all that stuff. Like I'd had enough of them at that point.
yeah, for me, it's just like the story really drew me through it. The first one, and the
yeah, and I mean,
the gameplay was fun, and now with the second one, the gameplay is like really polished and just I'm finding it a lot more fun anyway.
and I mean, you know, the first one did capture me for the first 30 minutes, like to a point where I'm like, oh, I could really go through this game because that was like, you know, if anybody knows the opening to the first game, that shit was sad and you know brought a tear to my eye. But like at the same time, I was just like, if you're gonna sell me a story, I need to have something to be intrigued to play through to get to that part. And I was getting really, really frustrated with the game. Not because I wasn't any good at it, but because it was just a lot of the same shit over and over again, which is why I never ended up finishing it.
Yeah, there were a fair bit of places like, oh no, Ellie can't swim here, so you've got to bring over a crate so she can float over and stuff like that. There were like a few reused mechanics to the point where the game actually broke the fourth wall and said, well, they actually acknowledged it. So I don't know exactly what the developers took towards the end, like, holy shit, we're actually using this a fair bit. Maybe we should just give a nod to it, just a bit of a ha-ha. But
and you know, like the fact that the harder the difficulty is only sort of determined by how well you play stealth games, because like as most people made mention, the harder difficulty you played in the first game, it was basically like when you got up to the max difficulty, if you didn't stealth and stealth kill everything, you would die stupidly fast. So it was sort of like, yeah, no, I'm good, you know. I'll play an Assassin's Creed game if I want to stealth or some bullshit like that. Not that I'm a big fan of those games, but at the same time.
No way. Play The Last of Us over Assassin's Creed. What are you fucking doing, Bryce?
Look.
No way.
Yeah, I know, but for the story, maybe. For the story, maybe, but for the gameplay, like I'm not playing that game for the gameplay. And like that's what took me out of it. I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, that's all I've got to say on that. But let's talk about Min Min. So we got to play a little bit of, well, you got to play a lot of Min Min. I've only played 3 matches. I've been putting my time into The Last of Us, basically 3 hours a night type of thing. That's what I can sort of manage to wraggle up. So I've only just this morning I'm like, oh shit, I've actually got to play Min Min for the podcast later today. So I've actually bought the pass this morning. Had it downloaded during the day when I got home, picked up my Switch and actually had a couple of matches. So this is my very first impressions. I'm not like really in depth with all the mechanics and everything. Bryce, I'm not sure how well you've gotten to play Min Min, but
I've played a decent amount.
Yeah. So you said you've played a fair bit online and everything, and you're just poning noobs. You're just like really getting in there, doing it really well. So I guess we'll start off with you. What do you think of Min Min as a character?
She's a good addition. It's definitely unique to the roster in a lot of ways, but in some ways it does feel like they kind of modeled her around the MO of Little Mac, in that, you know, if you're not on the ground, chances are you're probably not hitting anything with effectiveness. Hitting anything midair with your punches is kind of irritating because of the way that the trajectory is on them and stuff like that. She has some good ledge guard. Something that really puts me off her at times is how different her recovery works, depending on whether, you know, you're midair or whatever it may be. I find it really you're supposed to be able to grapple onto ledges, but at times it feels like it doesn't work correctly.
All right.
And then like her up B off ground, is entirely different from the original point. So it's sort of like a little bit strange. But the fact that you're controlling punches with A and B is neat, and it's definitely something entirely unique to her in being able to use two different arms to punch, being able to switch around them, getting different effects off them and stuff like that, and being able to control their trajectory is great, and it's good for offstage and stuff like that, just in general. But overall, I think she's pretty solid, and like the matches that I've played of her online and just against bots and stuff like that, I think she could be a pretty good pick. But she's not breaking boundaries.
Yep.
Like she definitely has some. It's very much a case of like Simon Richter vibes, of like keep your ass away from me. I'm just gonna keep punching, and I'm gonna try and keep my distance as much as possible. But she's not as ineffective as they are probably either. She feels a bit stronger up closer than what those two do. But her problem is that she's I guess she's kind of a middle ground. Like Sakurai made a very good tried to make the point that it was like, if you're close to the enemies, you're playing min wrong. And I don't think that's entirely true. Like I feel that way about Richter and Simon, I guess. Because
you literally can't do that much to them. Like you'll throw your your axe over them if you're too close.
Exactly.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, like your axe, your cross, like your holy water might be some use, but like there's just a lot of stuff that they do better at ranged, and their whip complements that. But with Min, you've got a lot of up close moves as well that do just as effective damage.
Yeah, those up close moves. That's one of the things I noticed. Like. I might be close, but I might be enough to like where a punch would be useful, but it does a kick and the kick misses because I'm not that close to them. And it makes me sort of think like, why am I kicking when I'm still like I'm not that close to them? It kind of takes away the main gimmick of it. I feel like of actually being able to do like an extending punch. So it's that sort of threw me off a bit. It didn't. The recovery didn't really throw me off when you just like, if you're below the stage, it just like grabs on, or if you're above the stage, you just do a big jump. That didn't really throw me off, but the kicking and the punching is what sort of threw me off, just being able to, when you think you're about to hit them, but then you just do like a little kick, you're like, oh. It's a bit like, oh, it's a bit underwhelming. But yeah, I really enjoyed it just in the 3 matches I played. I guess like doing the second punch, so if you like punch with the A button, then you go to the B, it's not as responsive as I would like. It doesn't do it straight away. It's like there is like a decent amount of time between them. And I feel like in the actual ARMS game itself, I might be wrong, it's been a few years since I played it, but you could actually go like 1-2 instead of like 1-2, if you know what I mean. You could do like that second punch a lot easier. You could do it like a microsecond after the punch. And whether that's a good idea, whether you're doing that or not, is to be seen depending on what your enemy's going to do. They might just like snag one in between those two and like grab you or something. So, but yeah, I wish that second punch came off a little bit sooner so you could maybe get 2 punches in before you do a smash and knock them off the stage. But yeah, I really enjoy her down A, just like that slide. A lot of characters have that, but it is good just to sort of like give them a quick knock, then you might knock them back a bit, then you can use one of your arms to do a smash attack or something.
Yeah. I think her best redeemable quality is the shulk effect of having like smash and buster essentially.
Yeah.
So you've got an arm that does decent damage in a decent area of effect, and then you've got one that does decent damage because it's got a bit of a laser added to it, and then you've got one that's literally just meant for smashing like 90% of the time.
That's like, my favorite one. That's awesome.
Yeah, the hardball. I can't even remember exactly what that arm is called, but
I just call it the wrecking ball.
Yeah.
I'm no professional min yet, so.
and I mean, I really like that, and I like the fact that like charging your second arm is no different to actually using a smash attack, and I think that's really cool. she definitely has a lot of utility when it comes to stuff like that. Maybe not as effective as somebody like Shulk, who literally has five or six things that you can abuse, but like
Yeah.
Just being able to identify, they're about 60% Wrecking Ball is going to be most effective from now on, or whatever it may be, is good. And their power in general, I feel, is relatively balanced. It's not too harsh. It's not like I'd like to say the character I'm thinking of that just has something that's really strong right up front. I can't remember who it is.
Right up front, like DDD's hammer or something. Is that what you're thinking about? Something strong?
Maybe something similar. Something that can kill at like 40%, because there's a few moves like that in the game. But it's not as strong as that, but it feels like as much punch comes out of it. Non pun intended. But so I think in general, it does pull off that sort of weighty, this is a huge punch type of deal, and being able to like angle that just off stage as well can be really useful for ledge guarding and stuff if you catch people off guard.
Yeah, I haven't been able to, once again, in the 3 matches I've played, which is like literally nothing, I wasn't able to sort of curve it down to do that. Was I missing something in doing that?
She only does it very lightly, especially with the Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, see, I was trying just with the dragon arm. I
feel like the dragon arm would probably do it better in the end. Like you know how you can power up that arm?
Yeah.
I have a feeling like if you were to use that in that scenario, it'd probably be a lot more effective because of the extended laser for one. And it would stop a lot of those characters with really high recoveries, so like Snake and K. Rool and whatever that may be, helicopter recoveries, I guess we'll call them.
Yeah, so you don't actually get hit by it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I feel like it'd be really effective for that, and it also covers a really long range. So like, you don't have to risk an offstage to keep people out of the game. You can sort of just rely on that dragon arm, point it down at an angle where they're coming from, and then sort of just let it loose. It knocks them back further, and then they've got no chance of getting back then. I feel like it's effective for that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yes, it is. You still there?
Indeed.
Oh, you are.
I am.
It's just been so quiet. Yeah. So
I was done.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's hard because we can't actually see each other. We're not used to podcasting without seeing each other's beautiful face.
No, we're the duo that have been doing this a bit more recently, but like, I would like to say we're on 147 now, so I'd like to say maybe about 137 episodes have been recorded live, like in the same room.
Yeah, probably.
It's a lot of episodes.
It is. Too many, some would say.
Damn.
But I haven't played the actual ARMS stage itself. Have you played on it? I just want to know what you think about it if you have played on it.
No.
Because I've just gone the Final Destination stages straight away because that's what I do. But
yeah, I mean, so do I. Well, actually, these days I'm more of a Battlefield person because it just something about it. Like some characters are just meant to have platforms, But anyway, I haven't. And if I have at all, it's come through a Battlefield rotation, so it's not affecting me too much. I'm not all that interested in that stage anyway. It looked relatively and a lot of stage selection these days, especially in like the pro tournaments and stuff like that, is what is the closest stage to Smashville we can pick.
Yeah,
like that's 100% what it's down to most of the time. Is like, what is the closest thing to Smashville we can pick, being the big fan favorite. So I never really care that much for the little odd nicheties the original stages come from, because 90% of the time we're playing as a test of skill, and that's just between us.
Yeah, so pretty much for us, They just added a new theme for Final Destination and Battlefield. That's pretty much what this new stage is for us.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, it comes with some music, which is nice. But apart from that, and it's good having so much ARMS music in there, because if there's anything that absolutely kills for that game, it's definitely its soundtrack.
Yeah, I really enjoyed just like when you like win a match and Min Min's doing a celebration. It's like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. It's just like, yeah. Like I just love those vocals. It's so good.
Yeah. And all these DLC characters coming out with all these unique finishes and stuff like that. Then you look at the original cast and they've got nothing in comparison.
Yeah. Yeah. Does this make you feel like going back and like trying ARMS again or playing ARMS again?
I've thought about it, and like I don't have my copy at the moment because I got rid of it a while ago. Not because I hated the game or anything, but simply because I just wasn't playing it whatsoever. And like I can always go on the buyback program and get it back for like the $24 or something I traded it in for. So
I know that Epic Games, they do.
Yeah, because of their buyback program thing, which that's fine. I'm cool with that, and like I can do that at any time. So I want to re-add it back to my collection eventually anyway, because I did enjoy the shit out of it. It was definitely a good game. It's just I couldn't keep up with all the like the following character releases and stuff like that. They did a really good job of like managing DLC for that game and having free added stages and characters and stuff, and that was really cool, but I just didn't have the energy to keep up with all that in a game that I just found more fun as a party thing. I mean, one of the last memories I have of ARMS was being in your stream and somebody raging at us for teaming up on him, apparently.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious.
And I'm like, listen, buddy.
Dude, I'm just throwing limbs around here. I'm not teaming up on no one.
I'm like, listen, buddy, if there's anybody in this game I want to knock out of the game, it's definitely not you, it's him. because I have competitive nature in fighting games with Drew. Yeah. I'm like, there is no way in hell that I'm aiming for you. You just happen to get caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, we're just like, we don't, That's the irony of it. We're just like actually going for each other.
Yeah.
This guy's just like, I'm going to stay in the middle, and it locks on to the person in the middle, so I'm going to cop it all.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, you're teaming up on me. Oh, that's so unfair. And it's like, Brian, no. That's not how it works.
Yeah, just do a stream where it's like, hey, come play ARMS with us. And we'll both beat the shit out of you. We'll both just team you.
That's what you get for standing in the middle of a square arena,
Yeah.
We're dancing around the corners, throwing long-range punches at each other.
Yeah, because it was the arena with all the cars, wasn't it? I actually remember it pretty well, that match. And you were Twintel and I was Ribbon Girl. I can't remember who they were playing.
Cobra?
Yeah, I think it was.
I think it was Kid Cobra.
Yeah. Oh, well.
And they were like raging and like swearing in chat and shit like that. And they must have only been young. And I think it was like a reason just for them to get their swears off.
Yeah, I think I've still got them added on Switch, because when I was streaming, obviously you add people so then you can invite them to a match. I think I might still have them on there, or if I don't, I at least had them on for a long time, because every now and again they'll pop up and I'm like, oh yeah.
It's that kid I beat up in ARMS.
Yeah, he was that kid, Bryce, and I teamed and absolutely destroyed in ARMS, and made us feel good about ourselves for the rest of the week.
Oh my god! And they were so serious about it too. We're just trying to have fun. Like, nope.
We're just two big boys playing ARMS. There was nothing more to it, really. But
I think the only time we've ever been non-competitive in fighting games is when we went to. It would have been 2 times. It would have been during that high school tournament, and it would have been AvCon 1 year, and then the rest of the time we've only ever really versed each other. Oh my god, dog! I told you to stay away.
I was wondering what the hell that was. You just like got your maraca out or something. That's what it sounded like.
Go on, get. Oh my god! You tell him to stay away for 1 minute, and I tell you, he doesn't.
And he stays away from 1 minute, then he comes back.
Yeah. No, he's going to sit here and you probably hear him nibbling on his balls. Go on.
Whoa.
Get. So what he does. Dog, no, go. Oh my god.
Dutch, get the hell out of here. Get out of the...
Get out, Dutch.
Chat. I don't know. Get out the chat. Yeah.
No, well, it's all right. He's just going to lay on the floor there, and if I hear anything inconspicuous, he can leave.
Yeah. Silly dog. God, he's a big dog. Is he getting any bigger or what? Is he still growing? I'm sure he's stopped. Big German Shepherd.
They stop growing when they're 2. So
really?
he's still got some time.
God.
But we did manage to get him because he's sort of just been sleeping on the end of the bed, for as long as time's gone. Because I don't trust
bed. What, your bed?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, and sometimes near the fire when the fire's on and stuff.
It's not
like
the same size as like a person. It's just like, a person sleeping at the end of the bed.
I know, but it's kind of a case of like the reason we don't leave him outside is because we don't have a cage or anything for him. We can't really have a cage for him at a rental. So it's sort of like, if we leave him outside, then we leave him subject to like the occasional problem that we've had in this town of people coming and snatching dogs for dog fights, and I don't really want that. So
you don't really want that, no. If you did want that, you're probably entering in a dog competition yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So then you can make the profit, but you haven't done that because you're a good human being.
No, that's right. Yeah. So he sleeps inside, and we managed to actually come across a bed for him, and it was just sort of like, okay, set that up, put him in a place in the corner. All right, cool. He's got his own bed, and he still won't get off our bed. So it's been a constant hassle of being like, get off the bed, get on your bed. And he's I'm surprised. I'm still surprised we managed to find a bed that fits him.
Yeah, you'd have to get like an actual like single bed.
Oh yeah,
mattress.
pretty much.
There you go, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, mate. Shoot in the corner. But no, we found one of those strung up mesh beds, and like that's what I wanted for him originally, anyway, because they're probably the most comfortable thing for them to, position themselves in. Big square bed thing that they can just go boop like a trampoline.
Yeah, I would sleep on one of those things. I tell you what, they look pretty comfy.
Well, Evie does. She hopped on it the other day, put her 2 pillows on it and a blanket, and just laid down on it and just decided to lay down in it. I'm like, okay then, it's a dog's bed, but all right, we'll go with it. Yeah,
she can sleep in those beds if she wants. Yeah, so I think we both enjoy Min Min. I'm keen to play a lot more matches with her in the future, and I haven't bought Vault Boy yet. Have you bought the Vault Boy skin for the Mii fighters?
No, I haven't, and I don't think I will just yet. I think I'll probably just wait for like one of those little sales to come up, and I'll just purchase them all eventually.
Yeah, I reckon I'll jump onto it when I remember. Pretty much when I'm in Smash, I'll go and download it. But yeah, like I said, I just sort of jumped on like before I went to work. I'm like, all right, I need to download this so I can actually at least save it. I've controlled the character before I record.
Before we move on from the topic, now that Min Min's out and we have the ARMS rep, what's next?
Oh, that's a good question. I really, really do not know. It'd be interesting to see whether they're actually using this to pimp out other Nintendo IP, or are they still going to go to some third parties and get some interesting characters from them? Yeah,
I think they've definitely gone to third parties. Like, make no mistake, I feel like that as much as they sort of added in that was like all exciting and all encompassing, but there's 6 characters in this one because they had the 5 in the original and then Piranha Plant as the bonus.
Yeah. So
the 6 in this one, I feel like they will not all be Nintendo IPs. No way, no how.
Yeah, I would like to see it mixed up at least a little bit with at least like 2 maybe surprise third party characters would be pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. I do think now that we've got an actual Kingdom Hearts game coming to Switch, that Sora might have a bit more of a chance now.
Yeah, that would be
as
huge. Yeah,
it would be. Like I've obviously talked about my displeasure for Kingdom Hearts 3, but
yeah.
That was something that I played and enjoyed the shit out of like for years and years and years. So it was sort of like it'd be cool to see him there. Seeing that rhythm game's actually coming to Switch has slightly telling. I feel like Square Enix are a little bit more comfortable with putting their stuff out there now, especially with Kingdom Hearts. It's always had its own standalone titles on Nintendo platforms, so I think that could probably be in the list there.
I mean, Kingdom Hearts 3, obviously it was on Xbox as well, so it's not just a PlayStation thing anymore. So
yeah, I mean, it never really was. It always had mobile spin-offs and Nintendo spin-offs and stuff like that. But like the main series titles have only been on PlayStation up until 3, and then it was put out on Xbox, and then the story so far was put out on Xbox as well. So now Xbox has access to all of them too. So it's sort of just
on Games Pass, nevertheless.
Is it?
Yeah, I think they came to Games Pass. Oh, I could be completely wrong, but I do think I saw that.
I know the Final Fantasy games did. I remember the Final Fantasy games being a huge deal because they're releasing a bunch of Final Fantasy main titles, including Final Fantasy 14 on Games Pass.
Yep, I'll just do a quick search for it. But yeah, I think I did see that. So if you have an Xbox, hopefully I'm not lying to you.
Well, I know that at least 2 or 3 Final Fantasy titles are already on Game Pass, and I know that Phil Spencer said 14 is on its way this year, I think, which is the one everybody's been asking for because obviously that's a big MMO with multi-platform capabilities, and it's been stuck on PlayStation and PC. And
Kingdom Hearts 3 is on Game Pass, and an article from Polygon, Games Pass June new games Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 plus 2.5 remix. So just buy that.
So it's not the story so far, but it's close.
Yeah, pretty much. So you've got the 2 collections on Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah, 2 of the 3 collections. Yeah.
Yep. Well, what was the last collection? What games did that include that weren't in these 2?
2.8, and 2.8 had 2 movies plus Aqua's thing. Birth by Sleep something or other. I can't remember exactly what it was called.
Yeah.
But it was the lead up to Kingdom Hearts 3 game.
Okay. Yeah.
So I know that Square Enix is sort of really doubling down in other properties, in other consoles now rather than just PlayStation. I mean, they've sort of been doing it slowly for years, but now they're bringing all the retro stuff over. They're bringing all the Kingdom Hearts stuff over. Kingdom Hearts is getting a release on Switch, which is the first Kingdom Hearts to be released on a Nintendo home console, and not a portable one. So that's a big deal. And I think probably in the end we'll probably see the story so far come to Switch. I don't think we'll see 3 come to Switch, but I think we'll probably see the most of, or at least 1.5, 2.5 collection come to Switch eventually too.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
There's a big outcry for it, so I don't see it. I don't see them passing up that money. So
yeah, it'd be interesting to see like what other IP of characters might come, whether like even like if something like a new Pokemon or something even like Waluigi makes it in from all like the fan outcry.
I think for the next couple of characters, they'll probably hold off doing that after all the backlash that they got for ARMS, despite the fact that Min Min is really good and fun and she's enjoyable to play. I think that people are still pretty miffed about it being an ARMS representative and not something big for the first one, considering Byleth was the last of the last one.
Yeah, and like Byleth was like a lot of fun. He's one of my favorite DLC characters in the game, just with how fun he is to play. So,
oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I think my top 3 out of those, the first 6 were easily Banjo, Terry, and Byleth. Like, because I really want to love Joker and stuff like that, but I've fallen out of touch with the slender, fast characters. I'm not as good with them anymore because my reflexes aren't as great. And I'm sort of leaning more towards medium and heavy these days. So they're probably they fit right up my alley, and they were all very well crafted characters, and absolutely love them all. But I think because of Byleth and people's outrage about another Fire Emblem character coming, and then getting an ARMS rep, and people were like, "ARMS is a dead game," and I'm like, "Well, if you actually picked it up and played it, you probably enjoy it."
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. Just because it's dead, like online, doesn't mean the character shouldn't be in the game. That's kind of a stupid thing to bring up. Like, ARMS is a pretty. I was going to say prominent. It's not a prominent game on Switch, but I feel like it was an important game on Switch just for the fact that it finally Nintendo brought a new IP, and that hasn't happened in a long time.
That didn't happen since Splatoon 1, and that was
like
a fair few years.
2014, I think
so.
Yeah, so it had been a fair few years, and even before then, it was Pikmin back in 2001 on GameCube. So
yeah,
I think just seeing new IP from Nintendo was exciting in general.
Yeah,
so,
dedication to getting new IPs is fantastic, especially when it's something as flavorful as ARMS was. It was definitely a lot of fun, and there was a lot of customization, and just overall it was just really good. So and if anything, it was a good party game, and it encapsulated what Sakurai wanted Smash Bros to be originally, which was a fighting game that was a party game. But people latched on to Smash, and they were like, well, it's not a party game anymore. So yeah,
it's like there's no fun to be had here, mate. This is a serious business.
Yeah,
Super Smash Brothers.
This is the most serious fighting game in the world.
This is just pure concentration and sweat. There's no Doritos. There's no Coke. There's no Bundy to be seen. This is a very serious game for serious people like us, Bryce. Like us.
Oh yeah, we're very serious. Listen to us.
Goodness gracious! So I could not be more serious than playing Super Smash Bros. That's when you go to work. Don't worry about it. Just goof off. Pick your nose. Just get drunk. Do what you got to do. But when you go home, you play Super Smash Bros. You make sure you carve out 2 hours of each day to dedicate yourself to that game. That is a very serious game.
Yeah, you take your work pants off and you put your man pants on and strap in for the biggest ride of your life.
You've got to put those man pants on, and if you do not strap yourself in well enough, you are going to go flying out the window, and you're going to regret ever sitting on that couch. All right, Bryce.
Exactly.
Do you want to move into some news?
Yeah, we'll cap off this news, shall we?
Yeah, let's cap off on some news.
Woohoo! Yeah! Is that all?
I fight for my friends.
Like party, but still. So
listen, I'm going to say it every time, okay? Every time.
Like, it's funny because if people actually listen like real close, you can just hear you saying, "I fight for my friends" over Ike. And it was funny because usually I see you do it, I just chuckle to myself, but I kind of forgot about it since I can't see you, and I could just hear it just over. I'm like, oh fuck.
I'm going to do it every single time, and it's going to get to the point where I identify what the actual volume is, and I'm going to start doing it as loudly as possible.
Oh, good.
so you can't hear Ike anymore, and it's just me.
I mean, that's going to be really great for the editing of the show. That's going to be really great for the listeners listening, just listening to you scream into your microphone. It's going to be great for your family at the moment who have to listen to you just screaming.
When you have such an inspirational line like "I fight for my friends," it has to be said with heart.
Of course.
Ike does not say it well enough.
He says it a bit. Yeah, it doesn't have much passion behind it, does he?
He's like, "I fight for my friends."
It's like, Ike, do you even have friends?
Yeah, do you understand
seriously.
what friends are?
Yeah, do you know the concept of a friend? I know the concept. I know the concept of a friend very well. Let's, Bryce DeWitt is one of my best friends, and I would fight for him every day.
We know Ike's demeanor in Smash Bros. He throws that big two-handed sword that he swings around with one hand in the ground, and he, is this very, calm and collected but aggressive person. You can tell just by the demeanor in his look. And then he says, "I fight for my friends," instead of "I fight for my friends." It's not enough.
I guess, Fire Emblem, it's turn-based, so you can be a bit more calm in battle. You don't have to be too aggressive. You're just I'll take my time. I'll really figure out the weakness of this character, and I'll, figure out my strategy. you're fighting for your friends. It's not too vigorous at all, you know.
No, but I mean, like, it could have some heart. Like, you compare,
Definitely.
you compare. I fight for my friends to I fight for my friends, and then all of a sudden, you know, you get a whole lot more heart out of it, and it just becomes a more iconic line.
Yes,
and he just doesn't do it.
He doesn't, does he? No. Anyway, Bryce, that's not the news this week. So we're going to be going over a general shareholders meeting and Q&A Nintendo had earlier last week. So very exciting, but there was some actually pretty interesting news that came out of it. And I'm getting these dot points from Robert Stephenson. Stephenson,
was it?
it's with a Z. So would you say Stephenson?
I did have it. Hang on.
I'm going to say Robert Stephenson, and he's.
I mean, you do that. I'm gonna find this name.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you've put me onto it now, and I really need to know, because when you say stuff like that, it just makes me go, well, you know, I feel like I need to address that properly. Robert Stephenson. No, Stephenson. Robert Stephenson.
Stephenson. Okay.
And they got it from. They got this info from Nintendan, and Nintendan was. I'm trying to remember. Hang on. Game Talk for almost 15 years. Work Go Nintendo. Nintendo NWR Game Explain. Yeah, that stuff.
Yeah, so it was broken down really easy for us to go through the show. So we'll just go through it all, and as a talking point comes up, we'll discuss it, which makes sense. So first of all, Nintendo President Furukawa apologizes for the lack of Nintendo Switch stock in recent months. Ever since the launch of Animal Crossing New Horizons, the global supply has been difficult to maintain. When there is high demand, increasing production may take some time to resolve. So not too much to say on that one. It's good that more stock is coming for Nintendo Switch. It's something we don't really look into because we've had a Switch for 3 years. So when it comes to...
exactly.
To be honest, earlier this year, I had no idea that sort of the stock for Switch was so low until Buddy Watson's like, yeah, we were having really trouble getting him into JB Hi-Fi. I'm like, oh, there you go.
Yeah, the only way I knew about it was a friend of mine was hunting for one.
Oh, right,
and could only get a light at the time, but he went and upgraded that light recently to a normal one. So,
good boy. So he can play on his TV in beautiful 920 or whatever it comes out to.
Yeah.
He continues saying that Nintendo is taking the Nintendo Switch stock issue very seriously and have already ramped up production, but say they don't have an immediate response beyond further studies of the market and demand forecasts. Furukawa adds production, sales, and development operations has been affected by COVID-19. Production of units temporarily creased in February due to its effect on the Chinese factories, but recovered shortly in March. Business operations should stabilize throughout the summer, which is good to hear, obviously.
Yep.
Procurement of parts necessary for production was briefly an issue in May, but is currently recovering. Depending on the work, some Nintendo employees may need to return to working at the office, but they are researching the best and flexible approaches, including rotating staff. Director and Senior Managing Executive Officer Shinya Takahashi says Nintendo has faced development delays due to COVID-19, but it will not affect upcoming releases. In the future, if the pandemic continues, there could be delays in the future development and releases.
Now, just on that, we've noticed this with the Min Min Smash Direct. That you know, they sent Sakurai a bunch of equipment and stuff to do the Min Min Direct from home, and saying that, you know, it's been a bit of a challenge and stuff like that, but they're finally figuring out a system. And this has been a big thing for something else I play, which is Final Fantasy 14, because around the time that COVID hit, they were maybe about, I'd like to say probably about 4 weeks off putting out a new major patch, which is like a big deal. That's like when all the new content comes in and keeps people engaged to play the game and stuff like that.
That's when you can go. That's where you can go to Domino's and get a nice deal for the game and like 3 pizzas.
Exactly.
Is that what? That's the time of year it basically indicates.
Yeah, see, that's how you get a good game out of pizzas.
I actually love that. How it's like, yeah, you can get like $45. You can get the new expansion, the Final Fantasy 14, and
the full game too. Like every expansion and the base game, you get yourself a couple pizzas, and yeah, it's a really good deal. It's a really good deal. You save yourself like $70.
Yeah, I'd be all over it, to be honest, if it wasn't for a monthly subscription. Because I'd like to dabble in it, but I'm not going to pay monthly. But anyway, I mean, continue anyway.
And this sort of comes into the prospect as well of like, obviously because they don't have a solidified work background for like outside of the office and stuff like that. It's suffered a major delay, and like a lot of this content's been held back. I think it's 2 months total, which is a huge problem with the game. Like, they have a very tight schedule that they like to release content on, so that it sort of evens it out, so that like the people that get in and play do it for about a month and a half, and then they cut their subs and then wait until the next major patch sort of thing. Like those people that get in on the stuff really quickly, get it done, play the game. Because the development team, and especially the director, Naoki Yoshida, which is probably a second Sakurai in many ways. He really cares a lot about like player feedback and opinions and stuff like that. But he also encourages that, if you're burnt out with the game, then don't pay your monthly subscription until you're ready to play again. Like, he actively encourages that, which is something that a lot of MMO directors and stuff like that, they don't want to happen, because it affects their cash flow, right? But he actively encourages that behavior because he doesn't want people to stop playing the game from getting burnt out too much, which is good.
I mean, if one person just like says, all right, I'm going to have a month's break, then goes on to play the other 11 months because they had the break and they're that into it, that's better than saying, all right, I've been playing these 3 months when I should have been having a break, and now I'm never going to play the game again. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The way I like to look at it is that the way he talks about it is, it's like, you pay $15 for your month for a new content patch. You treat it as DLC. You're done with it for the month. You're like, all right, yep, I've had my fun with it. You can drop it and then come back the next month, pay another $15 for another month of extra content, and then you can drop it again, do it like that. So you basically just treat it as DLC rather than having like a constant 12-month subscription. Which, that's good. Then that makes sense. And, a major content patch comes out every 3 months. So, you could only spend every 3.5 months. So it ends up being probably about $55 a year if you just do it that way, which is pretty good, And yeah, his major thing was that he released a live letter saying that a lot of the companies, including, Square Enix itself, didn't have that backup. So it was really hard to sort of get everything put together and get everything back at home. And, with a game that has a large development team like that, to make all the new content and stuff like that on a 3-month cycle, they don't have the resources for that. And Square Enix weren't prepared to do it. So everything got delayed back a couple months until they could figure out like a perfect work at home plan. And it seems like Nintendo really jumped on that ball really quick and got equipment to people as soon as possible. And that's a good thing because it's sort of cut down delays, but at the same time, it's also probably quite the challenge. And hopefully that, not working in the office isn't going to come at cost to development quality, which was a major problem for, again, Final Fantasy 14, because they want to make sure that the next patch that comes out, even though it's been delayed for another 2 months, that it comes out just as strong as the other content has. Because if it doesn't, then they've felt like they've failed, So
yeah,
and it's really important.
Yeah, for sure. And that's sort of why we don't know a lot of the upcoming games for for the Switch this year, just because they might not know exactly when their products are going to be finished, and they don't want to rush them to come out. So yeah, hopefully they just look at it and take all the time they need to make the products what they need to be released, instead of trying to meet deadlines and get it out before financial years and just pleasing stockholders. Because if they put out a game and it's bad, well, it's not going to be
It's going to be a
well.
flop.
Yeah, because like Nintendo's success with the Switch and all of its games have been because of the quality. Just because you can't, like a lot of the games, you're like, oh, Breath of the Wild, you can't ignore that. Then it went on to Mario Odyssey and just like all the other games that have come out since. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Goes on to say, director Takahashi goes on to say that Jump Rope Challenge was created by Nintendo developers during remote work, and over 590 million jumps have been recorded by the time of the Q&A. So a lot of jumps, and we actually haven't talked about Jump Rope Challenge on the podcast before. I saw that it came out. I'm like, oh, that looks that's interesting. That developers sort of just worked on this little tiny project at home. And I guess it was because of the shortages for Ring Fit Adventure. A lot of people couldn't get that while they're at home to sort of keep active in that. So I think the idea was to have a bit of a interactive fun with Nintendo Switch, just doing jump rope challenges, do as many skips as you can.
I really need to buy that now.
Ring Fit.
It's that again. Yeah. I'm actually intrigued about it now.
Yeah. Yeah. And it'll get you moving, getting that flex in that ring.
Well, I mean, I think that's part of it, is that, you know, it'd be a good tool for me to get some exercise at home. But at the same time, like, just for it to be sold out as heavily as it did, it must have something going for it that people are only picking up on now.
Yeah, I mean, that rhythm game actually intrigued me a fair bit with the update, where it had like rhythm game for like Mario Odyssey music, Splatoon 2 music. How they actually put that in there, and you sort of like flex the ring to the beat. I thought that actually looks pretty cool. I'm sure it's nothing like amazing, but it's just like a cool little addition just to on top of what you already get.
Yeah, for sure.
Goes on to say, President Furukawa says that the cancellation of E3, there are no plans for large industry events for the time being, and Nintendo doesn't plan to make its own large events. They will work to bring announcements and news in other ways for the time being. Nintendo believes Nintendo Directs are an especially effective means of conveying new game content and announcements to fans. However, more effective means may come available in the future, and they may consider what is the best way to bring new information to fans. So please
don't change Directs.
It's one of the biggest things he sort of said, that they might be looking at other things other than Directs to sort of get their marketing out there. And I guess when Directs came about, it was very much an Iwata way of presenting information to fans. It was very much like, all right, let's be personal, let's share the stuff we're making. And when Directs started off, they were kind of weird. They were Iwata in front of a white wall saying like, hello.
Looking at bananas.
Yeah, like looking at bananas, and it's like, please look at this. When we look at it, we go, oh, very nice. Here's your money. They sort of evolved with the E3 sort of like robot chicken skits, and then the Muppets the next year, and they became this really weird thing. And obviously with Iwata's passing, we saw a big gap in between. Obviously Iwata was the one who hosted those Directs a lot of the time, and Nintendo America took over for the most part, and they did things with Reggie, they did things with other presenters in Treehouse, and then what we've sort of seen lately is just trailers and just like a menu saying, all right, this is next, and then it's like, oh, it's Link's Awakening, very cool. But now next is a free Kirby game, and it's like very much moving away from presenters. And obviously Furukawa, the president of Nintendo at the moment, he's not forward-facing at all. He's very much just doing the job he's meant to do, and obviously with how Nintendo's going financially, he's surely doing something right, but he's not the personality that we knew with Iwata. I don't think anyone really could be.
Yeah.
So maybe just with the times changing with different leadership, maybe there is a better way to give us information about their upcoming games. And I was sort of thinking like, what type of thing could that be? And that could be anything from just demos on the eShop saying, hey, Paper Mario is coming out in 2 months. There's a demo here. Go and play it. And that will encourage Let's Plays, Twitch streams, and all that before the actual game comes out. And that sounds very non-Nintendo, because obviously a few years ago they were copyright claiming everything and all that, and I'm not sure what the sort of circumstance with that is at the moment, so that might definitely not be what they're doing. But, there very might well be other ways to do it. But I think any other company would kill to have the reaction to their marketing material that Nintendo does. Like, if they say there's a direct tomorrow, everyone's like, that is the talk of the internet. At least on my internet, because my internet is video games. So it's like, there's a Nintendo Direct tomorrow. There's speculation. There's the House of Mario. They're talking about it. There's there's other Nintendo podcasts they're talking about. There's YouTube videos. Everyone's watching them. And then it happens, and there's like a fair bit of hype, or there's disappointment. Regardless, it makes a huge splash.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what could really work better for them than saying, here's a lot of games. You're probably going to get 3 you're really excited about, and you might not care about the rest, but you're going to find something you're really looking forward to in the next 4 months. So, I don't know how they're going to beat that, but they obviously are thinking about new ways of sharing information.
I think it does really come down to the fact that they don't have those personalities anymore.
Yeah, definitely.
And, Reggie and Iwata and Miyamoto, and there's only one of them left. And it was obviously a really big deal in general back in the day, but nowadays you never hear anything about Doug, you never hear anything about Furukawa, like, at all. And they're doing things correctly, and they're running the company well, and they're doing a good job. But it is a shame that we don't have that same level of community interaction that we had from those guys. And I think that's very important for Nintendo, and I feel like they're sort of staying out of the spotlight because they're busy and they don't want to do it, and like it's just too much on their plate. But I think it's probably time that maybe they consider, if not them, then someone else to do that job.
Yeah, it's weird too, because early PlayStation 4 days, a lot of the success for that console was having like Shuhei Yoshida and Adam Boyes do this is how you share games on PlayStation, and they would say, here you go. Then like those personalities sort of drove that. And over time of the success of the PlayStation 4, a lot of those personalities faded into the background. You could see the marketing team didn't want any one person representing their brand. They just wanted the PlayStation brand to represent itself. And it seems like Nintendo's doing a similar thing. They're sort of like bringing their personalities back. Obviously, they've lost like 2 of them we just said. But they've, like, when we watch Nintendo Treehouse, we see a lot of really great personalities they could put to the forefront. There's like
that's right. Yeah.
Audrey Drake, who used to work at IGN. She's great at hosting those Treehouse lives. I forgot his last name, but Jordan. He hosted some of the Smash tournaments, the official Smash tournaments Nintendo done at E3. There's some great personalities they could put up as a host, but they just opt to, I guess, maybe try and make the Nintendo brand speak for itself. Instead of having like a host, they just say, Mario represents our brand, not this one person. Because I guess they did have I forgot his name now, but I follow him on Twitter. He was head of the indie initiative at Nintendo America, and he would host the indie directs and all of that. But he moved to basically do the same job at Xbox. So I don't know if like circumstances like that sort of like say, we can't rely on a person to be a personality of our brand.
Maybe, but I mean, even looking at the current day and age, more and more people like. I'll be straight up. This generation, the start of the generation, absolutely sucked nuts for Xbox, and everybody knows it. Everybody's completely aware of it, and Don Matrick is 100% to blame for that. For his very, very shitty decisions. He carried on his very shitty decisions, went to Zynga and sunk that too. So, whoop-de-doo, Don Matrick sucks nuts. But Phil Spencer, and everybody talks about Phil Spencer these days when it comes to Xbox. Everybody knows who Phil Spencer is. He's always at their major shows. He's the head of the Xbox part of Microsoft. And he's doing a wicked job. And he's very, very much respondent on Twitter and social media and stuff like that, and likes to talk to people. And and he's had great relationships with other companies' previous presidents. So even Reggie, as we know, he was very much in with Reggie, getting his games promoted, promoting their relationship with each other and doing stuff like that, and it was awesome. And, Phil Spencer is very much going to become that person for Xbox. And it's doing a very good thing for them right now because Phil Spencer makes people talk.
Yeah. I mean, 100% behind the scenes improved the track of Xbox One so much. It made it to the point where I bought one, and looking at the Series X right now, I'm like, I'm pretty confident I'm going to get one. And just the way that his sort of demeanor sort of turned around just the perception of the whole brand, just being even just just how sort of nice and calm even if someone asks him a question about hey, what do you think of the Switch, he's like, it's great, it's a great piece of hardware. So what about the PlayStation? Yeah, it's great as well. It's like, what about the Xbox? Yeah, it's fantastic, and we're doing all these wonderful things to try and get you to buy one. He's very honest about it.
Yeah, and that's what you need. And sometimes I suppose some things would be hidden in the background a bit, but I feel like that Reggie and Iwata were also very much the same kind of people. They were just honest, straight up, blunt, and that's what they did, and that was what was great about their marketing, and it's why Nintendo's took off so much, as we all know. And with Phil Spencer doing that for Xbox, it'll probably help really push Xbox through the next generation, having somebody that's still a figurehead there talking about it. Even if you look at his Twitter, when I'd like to say it was probably about 4 or 5 months ago now, he was talking about how his daily driver for his gaming now is a prototype Xbox Series X under his TV. And he was just like, I can't wait to share this hardware with the world. It's going to be so awesome. I really want to, drive up our potential and really make our brand shine again. And I think this box that I've currently got under my TV as my daily gaming driver is really going to do that work. He's really, you can feel it. You can feel it in the way he even just types things, that he's got confidence and spunk. And if somebody says something remotely negative and then tags him in it. So, for example, the recent Mixer issues that come up before Mixer was canned, which was a racism debacle in the company.
Yeah, that was pretty ordinary. Yeah,
and somebody tagged him in it, and he's just like, "Listen, we absolutely do not stand for this, and I would really like it if you contact me and we get in touch and we talk about this, so you can better help me understand." And, just stuff like that. It is a very, very, very good way to keep the attention of your audience. And, if you want the company to drive itself, that's nice. But, that hasn't really worked as well in the past. That's very much quite obvious. Games speak for themselves, sure, but they don't quite speak the same way that a personality does.
Yeah, and
that's why during E3 they would bring out Keanu Reeves for friggin' Cyberpunk and all that stuff. Just shit like that. Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah, because I know with PlayStation especially, I really missed them with their personalities being face-forwarding. Forward-facing, sorry. Yeah, face-forwarding. I don't know what that means. Something a bit saucy, actually. But I really did miss that. And to be honest, when the Switch came out, just with the Switch being easy to play on the couch and that, and my girlfriend usually hogging the TV for Netflix, I sort of fell out of PlayStation, and just probably a combination of that and just their marketing not grabbing me as much probably resulted in that. And I feel like the same could potentially happen with Nintendo. Not saying that I'm going to stop playing Nintendo games or not playing my Switch anymore, but just those personalities really do help. So as much as these companies think, let's just make the brand talk for itself, I think there's nothing more effective than probably a human touch that you can relate to that can really help. But we'll see in the future. We'll see if it works out for them, or if they do decide to push another personality.
And I mean, I'll be honest with you, as gaming generations go on, I'm pretty much a firm believer that I mean, there's a lot of people that are like, consoles are what I do. I like consoles. Like, that's my thing. But the further as time goes on, these consoles are turning into PCs. And, at what point does it stand where they aren't just actually going to be branded PCs? And knowing the fact that the only news that's ever spoken about PCs is from stuff like PC Gamer and all that stuff with the PC Game Show and whatever it may be, and it sort of just becomes much more of a blank slate because that's what what PC gaming really, really struggles with.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people aren't into PC gaming, just because the hype and the marketing isn't behind it.
There.
Yeah,
no, but like if you're a person who's like got multiple reasons to own a decent computer, so whether you're a content creator or whether you do a lot of video editing work or you do a lot of software work or you're even making games yourself, you most likely have a high-end PC on your budget, and it's one of the most inexpensive ways to play video games because PC games go really cheap for the most part. So it's sort of like you can pick up new releases for $20 to $30 less than what they would be on a console on release. So it's sort of just like how long with all these replaceable hard drives and stuff like that we're getting in the new console generation that have their own proprietary SSDs and stuff like that you can switch out. How long is it that they literally just become a PC that you can do multiple things on, like browse the internet more effectively or...
I mean, they've already sort of moved a little bit in that direction, just being like, hey, you can watch all your Netflix and YouTube and do these things. I don't know if they need to become just browse the internet type. I know they have web browsers and that, but
as they get more expensive is where I'm getting at, is as they get more expensive, they're going to approach that price cost.
You're just like, if I'm paying $1,000 for my PlayStation 5, I at least need to pay my taxes on this thing because I can't afford a laptop to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, okay.
As they get more expensive, where is the line going to be drawn? And like, if they're trying to phase out these consumer-friendly faces, how long is it going to be before these companies just end up like they have in PC gaming, where everything's static, and these systems are over $1,000 because they expect you to pay that money because you'll do it for a cell phone. And how long is it going to be before the price is that high, and then the relative interest of addressing consumers becomes even lower, that it becomes literally the same point as PC, where it's just like, oh, you'll just buy our shit.
Yeah. I mean, I think after having this discussion, there is a fine line between becoming a boring company saying, hello, we are Nintendo, this is a Switch, you can play Mario and Zelda on it, and some indie games, goodbye. And then there's also like pushing the personalities out there that could result in like a Subway situation, for example.
Yeah, they're like, get hyped for this shit because this is about to wind up your friggin' nipples. I don't know. It's it'll, if they go ahead with this kind of mentality, it's just going to go the exact same way PC went with Gabe Newell, where he was sort of omnipresent when Steam come out. And Valve was doing work on games and stuff like that. But nowadays, like, you never hear from the dude, like, ever.
He's too rich. He can't talk anymore. He's paralyzed with wealth.
Too many burgers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting there too with burgers.
I'm Gabe.
All right. So let's move on, Bryce. So they talk about some mobile games here. So Furukawa believes mobile games are an effective way to bring Nintendo's IP to new consumers and allows more Nintendo account sign-ups, but mobile gaming doesn't represent a significant part of its business, while the Switch can play a wide variety of Nintendo games. He continues saying that over the course of the past 5 years, Nintendo's relationship with DNA has deepened, and the goals of connecting with a wider audience has gradually been realized. So this was another one of the big dot points that came out of this sort of a shareholders meeting, that they weren't happy with how their mobile games were going, which was in some ways interesting. That a lot of their games have been pretty successful. They've made a lot of money, but I think they just were expecting just like skyrocketing profit margins from it. But yeah, so what do you think of this?
I'm pretty sure we talked about this last week, but it really just comes down to that what they tried with Run was unique and nice and everything, but $15 was a bit much of an asking price for that. Yeah. And then most of the things they've released since then are free. And like I'm sorry to say, guys and gals that have been working on those games for Nintendo, but you attach something that's as beloved as like Fire Emblem to a niche community, to a mobile game, it's not going to attract as many people as you think, because they don't know all these characters. They don't, care to know them, whatever it may be. Whereas when you could, be jumping into, I guess I'll probably just use something like Azure Lane as a concept for that. That was like, and it still is a hugely popular mobile game about girls that are based off of off of naval ships, right? Now, yeah, all right,
okay.
Just hang on a second. I want to address this in the sense that everybody knows what the fuck a naval ship is. All these ship girls are named after actual ships that existed. Mm-hmm. So they already have history behind them. It's pretty easy to identify, hey, I wonder what that ship is. It'll say like the Queen Elizabeth or something. You type in Queen Elizabeth ship and it will tell you the history of that ship or whatever. And you're like, oh, cool, whatever. But you combine that with an aesthetic that everybody loves in gacha games, so an anime theme, and an easily identifiable thing where it's just like anybody can just fucking Google what that means without having to read a huge history and just being like, oh, so it was a ship that blew up in World War II, right? And it works better than having to go back through years and years of history of Nintendo games to understand who the fuck Eli Wood is in Fire Emblem and why his existence matters at all and why he's represented in this game as anything else.
Right. Okay.
It's not, you get all that info logged in game on Azure Lane as an example. Again, all that info is logged in game somewhere under their profile or whatever it may be. It'll give you a quick history rundown of the ship and what this character's based on. You're like, cool. All right. And then if you want to learn more, you go and Google it. But then, like, you'll get Eli Wood, for example, in Fire Emblem Heroes. And you're like, oh, I wonder what Eli Wood's significance was. And it's not as simple as just like, Eli Wood was Roy's father and the playable character of Sacred Stones? I can't remember exactly which one. And then you've got this whole history of, like, what he did in his life, and he's this fictional character. It's just like, okay, I'm not really a big fan of Fire Emblem. I just pulled him, and I just wanted to know who he was, I guess. And I guess it's just not as important to some people. And Fire Emblem being the IP it didn't really find its footing in popularity in Western markets for a long time.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Fire Emblem wasn't necessarily the problem. It was some of their other franchises that under-delivered. Obviously we know Mario Run didn't do as well as they wanted to. Animal Crossing was their second best, profit driver, but I don't think it was still where they wanted it to be. And Animal Crossing was interesting because you could play it pretty easily without doing any microtransactions. But when they did ask for microtransactions, it was a lot. So they got the balance there pretty wrong, I feel like, because it didn't really feel like Animal Crossing. It just felt like trying to grind up levels by doing certain things each day, talking to your villagers and doing certain tasks, and that didn't feel like Animal Crossing does on the actual consoles.
I speak about Fire Emblem mainly because it's probably one of the best gateway entries to Fire Emblem. Like if you just want to get in there and sort of get in on it and stuff like that. And you'll know exactly what it's about. Whereas a lot of Nintendo's other titles, so Mario Kart Tour or Animal Crossing Pocket Camp or Dr. Mario World, right?
Yeah.
All those titles, they've all been around for a very long time. Anybody that actually gives a shit about them probably has a version of them somewhere that's free because they already own it and they don't have to shove money out the arse to get more shit out of it. And Mario Kart Tour is a big one for that. It's like, I've got Mario Kart on my mobile phone, but like, how many people own a Switch now and how many own Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? So how many people are actually interested in spending money trying to get a Peach with a slightly different dress as a character in their Mario Kart Tour in a game which is mostly just controlling itself?
Definitely not me.
No, who really gives a shit about that?
Yeah.
Whereas like Fire Emblem Heroes, I feel, was a gateway to Fire Emblem in general because it was a simplified version of Fire Emblem featuring a bunch of characters you might be interested in. But with the way Mario Kart is, how many units has Mario Kart 8 Deluxe sold? Well over 20 million at this point. Like everybody's, we just had a big tech buyout. They've all bought Switches. They've probably mostly all got Mario Kart as well. And it's got, how many characters in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? Like over 30.
I don't know. Apart from Yoshi, I don't really care.
Yeah. But there's that. There's all your carts. There's like all that shit. And it's all for the one single cost price. And it's a better game. So why on God's hell earth would you go and download Mario Kart Tour, spend $250 on Wedding Princess Peach, and then
it's good value for money, though. It's good value for money for
trying to get her optimal car, only to find out
such a nice dress, Bryce. You can't undermine that.
Listen.
Looks beautiful.
Only to note the fact that
stunning.
You've also got to have her her proper wheels for her car.
Oh yeah, you got it.
Proper car.
Oh yeah,
her proper glider. Yeah. And then the problem with that is that in Mario Kart Tour, certain characters perform better on certain tracks by default. They literally make it so that if you don't roll for those characters, you are at a disadvantage. It is a terrible choice in game design. And it's not fun. It's pay to win. It's like downright dirty, and everybody identified it pretty much immediately. That's the reason it hasn't gone so well. If it was just cosmetic, of like, you know, you roll for cosmetics and that does nice things, like gives you the Peach in the wedding dress, and that's all it does, it'd be like, okay, cool, I'm down with that. But because these characters are locked behind a gacha, and those characters get buffs for driving on certain tracks, a lot of people have identified it as a pay-to-win mobile game that is essentially scamming.
Like, could you imagine that game without the gacha, without the monthly subscription, which is just ridiculous for a subscription for a mobile Mario Kart? It's just it's just dumb. It's just dumb. But could you imagine just like Mario Kart Tour is pretty much normal Mario Kart, controls like it does, which is fine for a mobile game. It's fine. But it had like a battle pass. So it's like whenever you want, every couple of months, it's like, oh, well, we're introducing new wheels, new carts, a couple of new characters. You know, you grind out some coins, you'll be able to unlock them through the battle pass. And there's a free battle pass. You know, just so many games have adopted it. It seems to work pretty well. It engages people with the game. Gets revenue for the developers. It's sort of like a win-win situation. I think it works out pretty well. I've got no problems with battle passes. And, you know, that could be really interesting for that game. New content every couple of months, and it's a fun game. And being able to play with your friends without, if you don't have your Switch, or maybe your friend doesn't even have a Switch, and you just say, hey, just download Mario Kart Tour, it's free, and you'll be able to play with the standard Shy Guy or something. I think that could have been fantastic, but...
battle passes are usually 100% cosmetic as well. Like they're not anything that affects game balance. Whereas Mario Kart Tour is literally just asking you to spend money so you have an advantage. and nobody likes that at all.
Yeah, because the idea is like, oh, I've got Mario, so I'm going to get an extra item slot in a Mario circuit. It's just ridiculous. It's like that's even if you've got the right character, it's just like this is dumb.
It's cheap. It's terrible.
Yeah, and
that's the reason it hasn't done well.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the Nintendo games Nintendo's released on mobile, even as a Nintendo fan, it's just been okay. That's whatever. And I think the rest of the world sort of saw it as that. Probably a lot of people dabbled in it because of the love of the IP, and they dropped it pretty fast, I think. So,
yep, absolutely.
Yeah. What do you think about, say Nintendo Switch Online, you've got access to NES games and SNES games. How would you feel about offering them basically to play on your phone with a controller or whatever? Maybe just like even original Nintendo games that were from Virtual Console on phone. Like instead of like original things where they're trying to get microtransactions, they could do like extend the subscription to phones to try and get more subscription revenue from people that might not even have a Switch.
I mean, I think that's a smart idea because a lot of people play emulators on their phones.
Yeah.
So, it would just save the trouble. And if they make a half decent emulator that actually works properly with the games, then it would perform better, and people would be willing to sub to Nintendo Online for that.
Yeah, because it is like a chicken and egg thing, because I think a lot of the reason that hasn't happened yet is Nintendo's like, all right, we want people to buy a Switch. So when third-party games are purchased, we make a profit, obviously the profit from the system itself, and we want, every reason to make people want to buy a Switch. But I think giving I guess reaching out the arm for people on mobile to play their games on their phones won't necessarily make people not want to buy a Switch. They might get a copy of Super Mario Bros. 3 through their Virtual Console subscription and like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. Like, oh, I remember Mario from when I played it as a young adult, and I never really played video games apart from that, and they'll look into it a bit more. Like there's probably ads in said app we're talking about and advertising Switch, and that might actually grab some people that they never would have gotten through playing some rigged Mario Kart knockoff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I reckon that could be a good idea. And I'd like to see that myself, even as a Nintendo fan. You could see yourself like playing on your Switch and enjoying it, and then maybe you're at the doctor's office and you didn't bring your Switch, and you're like, oh, I'll just play some more Mario Bros. 3, and that syncs back up with your Switch. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a Fantasyland thing. We know what Nintendo's like as far as online goes, but I think that's definitely a way a lot of people would like to see them go.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely agree.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on. So Miyamoto says development for Super Nintendo World is progressing smoothly. While the spread of COVID-19 caused slow development, equipment was able to be developed more carefully. Universal Studios Japan will decide on how to best open the park in consideration of patron safety. So I guess what we saw of like the bit that is developed at the moment looks pretty cool just from the photos we've seen. It's definitely a place I want to go when all is safe to travel and go in super crowded places again. So it looks like it'll be a good time. Hopefully it keeps moving on.
We need to really plan a trip for Japan.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely something we need to do.
It's been on the cards for a while and we've always talked about it, but like we actually need to do something about that and start putting away and actually go. That'll be good.
One of the things, when I think about traveling, what I want to do really bad is just go for a nice walk in Kyoto, go to like the blossoming trees and get a bite to eat, just check out the local scenery. Just go to Nintendo headquarters. Obviously, it's just a pretty bland building. You can't go in or even close to it. Like obviously nothing like that. But just get a photo in front of it. But just spend a day in Kyoto and just chill out. Then like obviously check out like Tokyo and these other places. But yeah, that is one thing. Like when I think about traveling, Kyoto is definitely up there. Just with walking around and looking, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll have to sort of line it up with when Universal Studios has the Nintendo World all finished.
Yeah, I agree.
So this is a big one. They finally admitted to it. President Furukawa apologizes for the inconvenience caused by Joy-Con issues, but says that due to an ongoing class action lawsuit in the United States, he will refrain from making any comment or any specifics. So this is one of the first sort of acknowledgements Nintendo's sort of made towards it, apart from just like this little bit here and there. And I mean, we all sort of know just like how widespread this issue is. And for some reason, Bryce and I haven't experienced it with our launch Joy-Cons. Don't know how, but that is how it is. But a lot of people are just like have experiences with the Joy-Con drift, and I couldn't imagine how annoying it would be to have a Switch and not having a Pro controller, because Pro controllers are expensive. You don't want to have to go and buy a $120 controller just because the controllers in the box don't work properly. Yeah. So I mean, hopefully something gets figured out. But this is a massive issue, man. Like they need to get on top of it. Yeah. Farakawa says the success of the Nintendo Switch can be attributed to two elements: the release of Nintendo Switch Lite, and that Nintendo can focus all development efforts on Nintendo Switch and not two different systems concurrently. They want to extend its life cycle. So this is one I think we've been saying since like 6 months before the Switch actually came out, when it was just rumors. Just like the fact they can just concentrate on one console obviously pays off hugely. They should have been doing it for years, honestly. It just it shows in quality and quantity.
Absolutely. And on top of that as well, you know, if we do see a Pro model down the line like they've done with the DSi or new 3DS line, they could push it further and bring new releases to it. But when they do eventually come to announcing the next thing, I really, really, really hope that they don't move away from it and they stick with the general idea of the Switch and just make it better. And I think everybody agrees with that sentiment, what they've done in terms of portability and even just party efforts at home, being able to put it on your TV with no issues whatsoever. Bringing it back to cartridge-based systems, which, in my opinion, is far superior anyway, because they're less likely to suffer damage and whatever it may be, and they preserve longer for the most part. It really is quite the perfect little console in so many ways, and there's a reason why, you know, that's the one console I keep going back to no matter what, whereas most of my other releases I play on PC.
Like a real gamer, you know?
Well, no, not like a real gamer, but because if I'm going to spend that money on a PC, I might as well be playing games on it, right?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
like I own all major current consoles.
The Neo Geo is just like all the main ones, yeah.
But the PS4 and the Xbox One have almost completely, totally fallen out of my cycle, apart from like the two games I was waiting years for, which was Final Fantasy VII Remake and Persona 5 Royal. Those were the last two major things I played. They came about around at the same time. And that's the most activity that my consoles have gotten in the last, I'd like to say, probably since Red Dead Redemption 2. So over a year before that, about a year and 4 months maybe. So that's a long time. That's a really, really long time. I've just completely fallen out of interest with them, and the fact that I get my games cheaper on PC is just, it's better. Just for me anyway. So because I've always been a console kid, like unwrapping that first Nintendo 64 I ever owned on Christmas, that was a big deal.
Oh, whatever, Bryce. We know back when you were a young kid, you unwrapped your birthday present. You're like, oh, thanks, Mum. It's the latest graphics card from NVIDIA. This is going to really turbocharge my PC setup. I can't wait to really use my widescreen monitor with this bad boy. Wow.
Jesus Christ. But my point...
That's what you're like.
My point is that, you know, that was a huge turning point in what I would find in a hobby in my life. And that's what it was. But now as time goes on, I feel like, you know, and you will attribute to this because you on the monthly had subscriptions pretty much for magazines coming to your postbox. and getting news from those magazines and stuff like that was just huge. But now we're in an era where that information is conveyed to us immediately, and trailers are pretty much like straight out there with very easily accessible links and stuff like that. And we're all very quick to make judgments on games before they even come out, because a lot of that material is out there. And I feel like that's affected how console gaming has gone for me in the last decade, probably. I feel like a little less motivated to just, I suppose, go out and preserve the life cycle of all these consoles that I have, because I've had my time with them, and now that we're heading into the next generation, I have far less interest in going back. And I think that's why backwards compatibility is probably really important, and I'm glad that Xbox is doing it. So
someone's got to, Bryce. Someone's got to keep the past alive, you know.
Well, hopefully PlayStation does the same thing, because I haven't gone back and played Spider-Man, and probably won't while the PS4 is the current console. I haven't gone back, and I haven't finished The Last of Us, and I have no desire to. I haven't gone back and played Horizon Zero Dawn at all, and that's now on PC. So I'll just play it there. It's really difficult to sort of keep it going, I guess. But with Nintendo, they've not really ever faced that problem.
Bloody hell, we come a long way from Switch is going well.
I know. See, this is what happens. I drink coffee and
you're just like, yeah, no, Switch. Actually, PC. Fuck consoles. So moving on, Director and Senior Executive Officer Shioda. Fucking, I can't get it out of my mouth. I had it there. I'm like, Shioda. Shioda. Am I saying that right?
No, Shioda.
Okay.
It's like soda. It's like soda, but it's Shioda.
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 I can't even say it when I know it. It says Nintendo focuses on fun experiences rather than technical power of the consoles. He adds the number of families playing together on Nintendo Switch refames the value of having a dedicated gaming console. So this kind of sounds like a bit of like just saying to the shareholders, hey, we know PlayStation just showed off their console, showing off some of its power, and talk with the Series X as well, but these are going to be powerful consoles. Sounds like a bit of a, hey guys, it's going to be fine. We still make money off of just family-friendly experiences. It's all good. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Regarding network support, Farakawa says during major releases, servers become overloaded and customers may face communication delays or connection issues. They are constantly updating server forecasts to combat that issue and are taking it very seriously, which they should be, because we are paying them to maintain those servers.
Absolutely.
And giving us features that we just don't seem to get on Switch, which, believe it or not, you know how they said after a year it's going paid, here's the app, enjoy. We're like, oh, well, they'll update it over time. No, they didn't. Absolutely did not happen.
No.
As cheap as it is, $30 a year, what are they doing with that money? They're just pocketing it. I don't see how they're putting it into their infrastructure, but
no,
whatever. That is one thing on the Switch where I'm like, come on, guys, fuck me. This is ridiculous.
Pick it up. Yeah.
Because on Wii, I don't see what I'm getting over the Wii U online. Obviously, there's the Virtual Console, which works out quite well if the games you want to play are on that service, which a fair few are missing from the SNES collection. But as far as the actual online goes itself, it's just like, all right. I hope you are taking it very seriously, because I don't see how you've been taking it that seriously to start off with. And we're on to the last one. There are more technical elements to the Q&A. Oh, this is just the end wrap up. So if you actually do want to check out the actual Q&A breakdown itself, I'll leave a link in the show notes so you can check out the whole thing. We just sort of went over the dot points Robert left here on Twitter, which is very helpful. So thank you very much to him. You can check him out at Cephazon. So yes, that's it's a PH. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, that is at SEPHAZON.
Yep. And it was actually Jamie Penning that put this in our Discord. We're like, oh yeah, and that actually put us onto
Thank
this.
you,
So
Jamie.
thank you very much, Jamie, for that helpful tidbit. So it actually took way longer to go through than I thought it would. We're coming up to 2 hours, which is ridiculous. I thought we were going to talk for about 45 minutes because of your sort of no sleep hangover. But
Yeah,
I'm sorry about
Man,
that, Bryce. I'm sorry.
The coffee kicked in at a weird time.
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess this week, Bryce, that's it. we're at the end.
Beautiful.
So everybody, thank you very much for listening to the House of Mario, episode 147. If you'd like to follow the show, you can follow the show at the House of Mario, and you can follow myself at iDruby. You can follow Bryce at IVRevan. And you can join the show's Discord community in the invite in the show notes. And Bryce, we better touch on this as well. Episode 150 will be live streamed over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/iDruby. We don't have a day or a time lined up just yet. Bryce, we need to talk about that, get a time in so we can tell everybody what time, I guess, to rock up. Australian Central Standard Time.
Yep.
But it's not going to be a big thing, but it's just going to be like you can call into the show. We have the technology to do that now, which is exciting. So I'm looking forward to actually using that. And if not expecting like a big turnout or anything, but if some of our regulars could show up, that'd be really awesome. It'd be really cool. But if no one shows up, we'll just do a normal show and it will be on Twitch, I guess, as a VOD. So there'll be no worries there. So this week's Nintendo Jukebox is by Dart Remix, and it's a remix of Min Min's theme from ARMS. So you can check that out on SoundCloud and Spotify and all of the things in the show notes. So Bryce, until next week, the doors to the House of Mario are closed. Catch you later.
Bye-bye.